Have you ever wondered why Japan has more centenarians than almost any other country in the world? How do so many Japanese people reach their 90s and beyond with clear minds, strong bodies, and a remarkable quality of life? The truth might surprise you, their longevity isn't just about genetics or healthcare. It's about specific daily habits that most Westerners never adopt, especially after reaching retirement age. When we look at places like Okinawa, where people routinely live into their 90s and beyond, we see patterns of behavior that directly contradict what most Americans and Europeans do after 65. While many Western seniors gradually reduce their activities, simplify their diets, and narrow their social circles, the Japanese often do exactly the opposite. And these differences might explain why Japan has a life expectancy that's nearly 5 years longer than the United States. In this video, we're going to explore 4 specific practices that Japanese seniors embrace after 65, practices that research suggests could add not just years but quality years to your life. These aren't complicated medical interventions or expensive treatments. They're simple, daily habits that anyone can adopt, regardless of where you live. Stay with me until the end, because the 4th practice is something almost no one talks about, yet it might be the most powerful longevity secret the Japanese have discovered. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you enjoy this video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, type 0 in the comments to let me know so I can make better videos for you. Now, let's get started. Practice 1. They never fully retire. The first remarkable practice of Japanese seniors is that they rarely embrace the Western concept of complete retirement. In Japan, there's a beautiful concept called ikigai, pronounced ikigai, which roughly translates to reason for being or purpose for living. This philosophy emphasizes that everyone should maintain purposeful activities throughout their entire life. There is no age at which you stop contributing to society. While many Western seniors eagerly anticipate the day they can fully retire and do nothing, Japanese elders typically maintain some form of productive work well into their 80s and even 90s. This doesn't mean they keep their demanding career jobs. Rather, they transition to roles that provide meaning, community connection, and appropriate levels of activity for their abilities. Take Yoshinori, an 87-year-old former accountant in Kyoto. After leaving his full-time position at 70, he began volunteering 3 mornings a week at a local primary school, helping children with their mathematics. The work is less demanding than his career was, but it provides structure to his week, keeps his mind sharp, requires him to leave his home regularly, and gives him a profound sense that he's still valuable to society. The children's energy keeps me young, he explains. They need me, and I need them. This balance is essential to life. Research confirms the wisdom of this approach. Studies have found that seniors who maintain purposeful activities have lower rates of heart disease, better cognitive function, and live an average of 7 years longer than those who fully retire. Purpose activates stress response pathways that protect against cellular inflammation, the same inflammation that drives most age-related diseases. Without purpose, the body seems to age more rapidly at the cellular level. This doesn't mean you need to keep working a traditional job. The Japanese concept of ikigai can come from many sources: part-time work, volunteering, creating art, teaching skills to others, or tending a garden that feeds your family. The essential element isn't money or status, it's the feeling that you still have meaningful contributions to make each day. When you wake up knowing someone or something depends on your efforts, your body responds with physiological resilience. If you've already fully retired, consider how you might reintroduce purposeful activity into your life, even starting with just a few hours each week. Your body and mind are designed to thrive on appropriate challenges and meaningful contribution, and this need doesn't diminish with age. In fact, according to the Japanese view, purpose becomes even more vital for health as we grow older. Practice 2. They walk everywhere, every day. The second powerful practice of Japanese elders is their relationship with walking. Unlike in the West, where daily walking often decreases after retirement, Japanese seniors actually increase their walking as they age, making it an essential daily ritual rather than an occasional exercise. What's particularly striking is the way walking is integrated into everyday life. Rather than seeing it as a separate workout that requires special clothes or setting aside exercise time, walking simply becomes how you get around. Japanese neighborhoods are designed for walkability, with essential services typically within a 15-minute walk of most homes. This means seniors naturally walk to the market, to visit friends, to attend community activities, and to pray at local shrines or temples. Consider Midori, a 91-year-old woman living in a small town outside Tokyo. Every morning after breakfast, she walks 15 minutes to the local market where she purchases just enough fresh food for the day. She chats briefly with the vendors, whom she's known for decades, then takes a slightly different route home. After lunch, she often walks to a nearby temple or to visit a friend for tea. At the end of each day, she's typically accumulated 5,000 to 7,000 steps without ever exercising formally. Walking is like a medicine I take every day, she explains. I don't think about it as exercise. It's just living. The science behind this practice is compelling. Walking improves circulation, maintains muscle mass, stimulates brain function through the rhythm of bilateral movement, and helps regulate blood sugar, all critical factors for longevity. But perhaps even more important are the secondary benefits: regular exposure to sunlight for vitamin D, casual social interactions that occur naturally during these walks, and the gentle activation of the body's stress response systems that keeps them properly calibrated. What makes the Japanese approach different is both the consistency and the integration. Walking isn't something they do 3 times a week at a designated exercise time. It's something they do multiple times every day as an essential part of living. Even in bad weather, seniors find ways to walk, often in covered shopping arcades or indoor markets. If mobility challenges make longer walks difficult, take inspiration from the Japanese approach of walking even very short distances multiple times daily rather than attempting one longer walk. 5 brief walks of just a few minutes each can provide substantial benefits while being manageable for those with limited stamina or pain issues. The key is consistency and accumulation, making walking an integral part of each day rather than an occasional activity. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's move forward. Practice 3. They follow the 80% full rule. The third distinctive practice of Japanese elders involves a powerful approach to eating known as harahachi-bu, pronounced harahachi-bu, which roughly translates to eat until you are 80% full. This Okinawan principle stands in stark contrast to Western eating patterns, where finishing everything on your plate or eating until you feel completely full is the norm. Japanese seniors practice conscious, mindful eating where they deliberately stop before feeling completely satisfied. This subtle but profound shift, eating until you're no longer hungry rather than until you're full, creates a consistent small caloric deficit that research shows activates longevity pathways in the body, including autophagy, the cellular cleaning process, and reduced inflammation. Take Hiroshi, an 84-year-old former teacher living in Okinawa. At dinner each evening, he serves himself modest portions of several different foods, typically a small amount of fish, several vegetable dishes, a portion of rice smaller than his palm, and perhaps some miso soup. He eats slowly, putting his chopsticks down between bites, and stops when he feels about 80% satisfied. If I still feel hungry 20 minutes later, I might have a little more, he explains. But I rarely do, because the feeling of fullness catches up with me. What makes this practice particularly powerful is that it's sustainable over decades. Unlike harsh caloric restriction or fad diets, the 80% rule feels natural after a period of adjustment. Studies of Okinawan elders show they typically consume about 10 to 15% fewer calories than would be expected for their size, yet they report high satisfaction with their meals and rarely experience food cravings or feelings of deprivation. The composition of traditional Japanese meals supports this practice. Meals typically include multiple small dishes rather than one large entree, creating visual abundance while controlling portions. Foods are rich in fiber, which promotes feelings of fullness with fewer calories. Meals begin with soup, which helps trigger satiety signals before consuming higher-calorie foods. And eating with chopsticks naturally slows the pace of consumption, giving your body time to register fullness signals. To adopt this practice, try using smaller plates and bowls, deliberately setting down your utensils between bites, and checking in with your hunger mid-meal. Ask yourself, if I stopped eating now, would I still feel hungry in 20 minutes? If the answer is no, consider ending the meal even if food remains. This slight caloric deficit, maintained consistently over years, appears to be one of the most powerful dietary influences on longevity that researchers have identified. And the benefits extend beyond just lifespan. Japanese elders who practice Hara-Hachi-Bu report fewer digestive complaints, more stable energy throughout the day, and better sleep quality. By slightly underconsuming calories at each meal, they create optimal conditions for the body's maintenance and repair systems to function efficiently. Practice 4. They maintain complex social connections. The fourth and perhaps most powerful practice of Japanese elders, the one rarely discussed in health and longevity conversations, is how they maintain complex social relationships throughout their lives. Unlike in Western countries, where social circles often shrink dramatically after retirement, Japanese seniors typically increase their community involvement and diversify their social connections as they age. This approach is embedded in Japanese culture through the concept of moai, pronounced MOI, social support groups that form in childhood and continue throughout life. These aren't just occasional gatherings with friends, they're structured community groups with regular meetings, shared financial support systems, and mutual assistance obligations that continue regardless of individual circumstances. Consider Keiko, a 93-year-old widow living in a small seaside town. Despite her age, she participates in 3 different moai groups, one that meets each Monday morning for community cleanup and gardening, another that gathers on Wednesdays to make traditional crafts sold to support local causes, and a third that meets monthly to manage a small financial pool that members can draw from when facing unexpected expenses. Through these groups, she regularly interacts with people ranging from 25 to 95 years old, creating multi-generational connections that most Western seniors completely lack. These are not just my friends, Keiko explains. They are my responsibility, and I am theirs. We have supported each other through marriages, births, illnesses, and deaths for decades. This connection is as essential as food or water. Research now confirms that this approach to social connections may be even more important for longevity than diet or exercise. Studies show that seniors with diverse, regular social contacts have lower rates of inflammation, better cardiovascular function, stronger immune systems, and significantly reduced rates of dementia. One landmark study found that seniors with the strongest social integration had a 50% higher likelihood of survival over a 10-year period compared to those with weak social connections. What makes the Japanese approach particularly effective is that these social connections involve both giving and receiving support. Unlike in Western societies, where seniors often become primarily recipients of help as they age, Japanese elders continue contributing to their communities in meaningful ways, regardless of physical limitations. This reciprocity appears to be crucial for the psychological and physiological benefits of social connection. Additionally, Japanese seniors typically maintain connections across multiple social spheres, family, neighborhood groups, interest-based communities, and often spiritual or religious organizations. This diversity of connections provides resilience. If one relationship or group becomes unavailable, others remain to provide support and purpose. To adopt this practice, consider expanding rather than contracting your social connections as you age. Join multiple community groups, volunteer for causes where your presence is needed regularly, or explore ways to create structured, ongoing social interactions beyond occasional gatherings with close friends or family. The key is consistency, reciprocity, and diversity in your social connections. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. As we've explored these 4 powerful practices of Japanese elders, maintaining purposeful work through ikigai, integrating daily walking into everyday life, following the 80% full rule of Hara-Hachi-Bu, and sustaining complex social connections through Moai. What becomes clear is that longevity isn't primarily about genetics or medical interventions. It's about daily patterns sustained over decades. The Japanese approach to aging stands in stark contrast to Western retirement ideals. Instead of withdrawing from productivity, physical activity, dietary discipline, and social obligations, Japanese elders often increase these elements after 65. What Western cultures might see as burdens to be relieved of in later years, the Japanese view as essential foundations for a long, healthy life. What's particularly striking is how these practices work synergistically. Walking to purposeful activities creates both physical exercise and social connection. Eating mindfully with others strengthens community bonds while supporting metabolic health. Maintaining purpose through contribution to social groups activates psychological resilience that translates to physical well-being. These elements form an integrated lifestyle where each component reinforces the others. The good news is that these practices can be adopted at any age, and evidence suggests they can begin to confer benefits relatively quickly. Studies show that even people in their 80s and 90s who begin incorporating these elements experience improvements in health markers and quality of life. It's never too late to reshape your approach to aging. Consider which of these 4 practices might be most lacking in your current lifestyle. Could you introduce more purposeful activity into your weekly schedule? Might you integrate more walking into your daily routines rather than seeing exercise as a separate event? Could you experiment with eating just a little less at each meal? Or perhaps you could focus on building more structured, consistent social connections beyond your closest circle. The Japanese example shows us that exceptional longevity isn't about radical interventions or perfect genetics. It's about simple, sustainable daily practices that align with how our bodies and minds are designed to function. These practices don't require special equipment, expensive supplements, or medical supervision. Just a willingness to gradually reshape daily habits in ways that may contradict common Western assumptions about aging. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.